Hello, my name is Jeff. Today we're going to talk about how to use a flow right here to automatically upload a whole bunch of information into a SharePoint list that we want all that data to be in. So it sounds difficult, but it's really not. And what I'm going to show you here, you can repeat this process for almost any list that you want, any spreadsheet that you want to upload into a list. So it's pretty handy utility. Stay tuned. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. Here we're looking at the spreadsheet itself, all right? So we have these 4 fields. There's a city and a manager in there as well. And then you have the property IDs and then the name of the building. Okay, pretty simple. Now, what this is not is a table. So to make this work, we'd have to highlight all of the information, go here to Format as Table, click there, and say Go. Now, this would be formatted as a table. I'm not going to do that to this, but that's how you do it. And then you just save it. Okay? Now, I've gone ahead and chosen to save that information right here onto OneDrive. Okay, so I'm just placing it inside files inside of OneDrive, and this list could be up. This spreadsheet is just there to populate this list that is inside of that same environment. So let's take a look at the flow itself. So I've created the list. Notice here I've got property ID, manager, supervisor, building name, and city. And I'm going to map those to the columns inside of the spreadsheet, and when I hit go, it's going to just automatically fill it. So let's go do that. So let's look at the flow itself. So to create this flow, you just hit create and go to Instant Cloud Flow. Then you give the flow a name, which in this case I gave it Upload Property ID, and then it will take you into the screen I'm going into right now. So here, we're going to close down Copilot, and let's take a look here. So it's a manual trigger. You can set this to be anything that you want, but I'm using this as a utility only. So I'm using a manual trigger. And I don't have to do anything to the manual trigger. Now, if you want to get a little complicated, little more complicated, you can add different inputs as well and use those as variables to fill in, but we're not going to do that today. View another video to do that. So let's go ahead and just list. The first thing we want to do is list rows. And so to do that, you're just going to click right here under manual trigger, and you're going to say add an action. Now, yours won't say add a parallel branch because you'll just have a blank page. It won't look like this. It'll look like this right here. Okay. So we're just going to add an action. And what we're going to add there is we're just going to type in list rows, right? And there it is right there. List rows present in a table. That's all. And we're going to select that. Now we've done that, and it's going to open you up to here. And you're going to select this location on this drop down here. And over here it will list all of your SharePoint sites. And at the very top, it's going to say OneDrive for Business. That's where we have our file. So select OneDrive for Business. You can click down on this, and then you just click on OneDrive again. And then this is the name of the file. So I just clicked on this folder right here, and there's the file. And I put the file right here in OneDrive. If you can see, it's under My Files in OneDrive right there, Property List. Okay, so far, hopefully you're tracking. Everything's good. We've created this. We've got Table 1, and that's all we have to do there. So what is this actually doing? Well, it's going out to the spreadsheet and looking and collecting all of the data on the spreadsheet. And we're going to look at this when we run this, and then we'll go back and show you kind of a troubleshoot. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to add another action right here. Pretty simple. Now, remember, it looks like this on your screen, but here, add an action. And the action we're going to add is create item. So let's just do that right here. We're just going to say create item. And you see here, it's in SharePoint. Why do we want to select SharePoint? Because this list exists within a SharePoint environment. Simple as that. Now, one thing to note when I created the list, let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. if I create the new list, I could create it right here as a blank list. And by the way, this exercise, we could also import, let me go back to that screen, from Excel or CSV file. We're not doing that in this video, but you could do that. So when I put in my name here, I'm going to put in whatever, right? And when I go right here to save, notice how I have two options. I'm putting it in the SharePoint site. I'm not putting it in my lists. I'm putting it in the SharePoint site. And this is an important distinction. I put it inside QC service. So that when I go here and I select create items, I'm going to go directly to that SharePoint site. Okay? So I'm going to go directly to that SharePoint site. And although it's blanked out on your screen, right here where it says site address gives the actual address of that SharePoint site. Okay? Then you're just going to select the name of the list from the list. And there's two of them in there, site journal and property ID. That's the name of this list right here, property ID. See that? Easy so far? I think so. Then you're going to say show all right here. And you're just going to see all of the fields in your Excel spreadsheet. So you're just going to, it's pretty easy here. I'm going to take that one off. Now notice here, I'm going to take them all off. Notice here that it shows property ID. That's because when I created this list right here, when I created these files, we can look at it, I can show you, list settings, and I go to the file, property ID. Notice here I put the description in, property ID. I just do that because I like to do that, I guess. But it shows up here, it kind of keeps me straight. In case I don't understand what this is, right? Although these are pretty obvious. I just do it. It's just kind of something I do. All right, we're going to click on the lightning bolt, and we're going to look. Remember, we have the trigger. Remember I showed you could put things from the trigger? We're not going to use that, but we are going to use property ID, property ID. This is from the spreadsheet itself. So Power Automate is going into the spreadsheet, and it's gathered the rows and the column heads that are in there. So property ID. We're going to want the manager. So we're just going to go ahead and put manager in there. Supervisor, we don't have in this spreadsheet, but we're going to put building in there. And then city, we're going to put city in there. Okay. We're ready to roll now. Now, you may ask, well, where did this for each come from? Don't worry about that. It is a loop that comes as soon as you select create item in SharePoint, it's going to put it in a loop. Why? Because it's creating one item inside of your list, and it's going through each row of your spreadsheet. And so that for each, and you kind of see it looks like a loop right there, it's looping to collect all of that data. Pretty easy. It's safe. Now, we shouldn't see any errors. We should see a green banner on here. If we don't see a green banner on here, we're kind of screwed. We're going to have to start over. We're good to go here. And then we're going to hit, that's it. Let's hit test because it'll just run it. We could go out and just hit play, and I'll show you, but we'll just do it for test here and run the file itself. Here, it's making sure that we have the right permissions, and the green check marks are a good thing. We could switch the accounts as well, which we do not want to do. And then we hit continue. And then we hit run flow. And then we'll hit done here in a minute. Okay. So what we're looking for on this screen are the green check marks. Now, notice here that it's cycling through, right? It's spinning, and it's cycling through those lists. So let's go out and look at the list real quick. It should be populating by now. Let's see, property ID. And there you go. So the property ID information is automatically being pulled from that spreadsheet and dropped right into this list. Pretty amazing, isn't it? I think so. It's pretty magical. I get goosebumps every time I do this. So that's how you do that. It's pretty simple. All of that data is going to upload from that spreadsheet. There were like, I don't know, 250 or so rows. It'll all dump in here, and then we're good to go. So good luck.